All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 1 of the road to 18-inch arms. So, as of now, let's start off with my current stats. I am at 17.5 inches, as you can see. A little bit of a bounce back from getting sick a couple weeks ago that knocked me back to 17 and a quarter. My current body weight is 196, and I'm 5'9" for reference, and I recently turned 25 years old, if that has any factor, which I don't think it does, but I figure someone will ask my age. So, first off, this is a slightly shorter episode. I messed up my filming. I got a new camera. As you can see, the quality's a little bit higher. The lighting's still a bit off. But overall, the quality wasn't quite up to par of the first few clips this week, so I'm only showing 2 of the total 4 arm training sessions for this week. Moving forward, it will be 3 to 4 sessions of sets compiled into each episode. So, now that we've covered my stats and a little bit on the actual series itself, who is this series for? The series is for any lifter at any training age. This will teach you multiple things. One, I'll be going over programming, exercise selection, training intensity, and anything in between. Whether you're a brand new lifter, this series will show you firsthand how to train hard, and it will also show you, like I said, how I do my programming, how I pick my lifts, and more importantly, how hard I train them and how I actually execute them technique-wise too. So regardless of your training age, if you're going from 17 and a half to 18-inch arms, if you have 19-inch arms, if you're going from 12 to 13-inch arms, it doesn't matter. There's stuff you can learn. So I hope there's going to be value a little bit for everybody, and I think everybody will have their own little takeaways from this series in general. So the next question that I have for myself is, can I do it? Can I hit 18-inch arms? The answer is, I'm not entirely sure. My guess is, yes, I do think I can do it, and that's why I'm turning this into a series. I'm within half an inch, actually at half an inch, not technically within yet. So half an inch away from 18-inch arms. I do think it's possible, and I do think I'll be hitting it relatively soon. Whether that takes 3 months, whether it takes closer to a year, it's impossible to tell. That's just how bodybuilding works. Some things are just outside of your control, but the magic of bodybuilding is taking control of what you can control. And for myself, that's why I'm so precise with my programming, with my effort levels, and of course with my technique. Exercise selection, everything gets a lot of thought put into it. Everything has attention to detail, and that's what I want to show within this series. So the plan that I'll be going on is, of course, the program that I mentioned 1 or 2 weeks ago where I reviewed it in depth on my channel. You can check that out if you're not sure what my program is. You'll see all my sets anyways in the series, so either way, you'll have a pretty good general idea of how I'm going about it. The plan I'm going to do as far as body weight is I am going to be continuing my bulk, aiming to gain roughly 1 to 1.5 pounds per month. As of now, I'm roughly 20% body fat. I'm definitely not a beginner lifter, so I can't get away with a higher surplus, basically, so I have to be a little bit more conservative with it, especially if I want to avoid any mini-cut phases, which I absolutely can't stand. I'd probably opt for a recomp instead. So I'm going to keep it to a pretty lean bulk. Might not be the most optimal for gaining mass in the short term, but in the mid to long term, it absolutely makes more sense. And if it takes me an extra month or 2 to hit the measurement, so be it. I'm totally fine with it. I want to avoid getting overly fat at all costs. So why am I doing this series, and why am I chasing 18-inch arms? Well, there's a few different reasons for it, and the first one is overcoming self-doubt and or bad genetics. I've always struggled to grow my arms. Part of it could be genetics, and maybe I'm just not entirely aware of it. Part of it could be the bad advice that I've received in regards to arm training, and let's be real, it's not could be an issue, that is an issue that led me to have my arms be a lagging muscle group for years on end. So this series is ultimately just a slap in the face to subpar training methods and anything that puts hypertrophy on the back burner or mocks people that train purely for hypertrophy. There's a few other things that I have kind of going on in my mindset and my approach towards this series. And the main thing with this is I'm very competitive. I'm almost ruthlessly competitive in certain aspects of life. I was a hockey player before, and I wasn't a very gifted hockey player. I was a little bit too short to truly succeed in my position. I didn't have the best hand-eye coordination. I wasn't set up to succeed in that sport. but I put a lot of effort and a lot of work into training and outworking anybody that I possibly could, and I made major improvements in my game and surpassed a lot of people on my teams and in my school's depth chart just by doing so. I've really always had that mindset, and now that I've transitioned my focus to bodybuilding within the past 7 years, bodybuilding isn't something that is very competitive. When it comes to the competitions themselves, I'm openly criticizing how we go about the standards of those actual competitions. So it's had this void in my mindset for this entire time where I miss competing and I miss having a very specific goal. So this 18-inch arm goal is kind of the peak of what I can feel competitive towards in natural bodybuilding. And to go a little bit deeper into that mindset, the way I see it is 18 inches is a pretty high standard when it comes to natural bodybuilding arm size. This is roughly the size of a lot of the greatest natural bodybuilders of all time, and I think that's why it's such an intriguing goal for me to try and hit. In no way am I comparing myself to the greatest bodybuilders of all time, at least yet. Who knows what I can do in the coming years, but it's a very intriguing goal, and it's a goal that holds a lot of value to me, especially as somebody that has suffered from a spider mode physique from subpar training methods. So that's just a little bit of an extra fire for me to try and hit this goal. There's also guys that do have 18-inch arms currently, and from what I can tell, that seems to be kind of that advanced elite level. And for myself to be as competitive as I am and not be at that level, I'm simply just not okay with it. And you guys might be calling me crazy since I'm only half an inch away, but that's just how my mindset works. It's a little bit ruthless in certain ways like that. And it's interesting because I'm not like that in every aspect of life. I tend to be a very laid back and pretty chill guy, kind of go with the flow outside of the gym, but I always have that one competitive aspect in whatever I'm doing that I just have to push as hard as I possibly can. So I want to show you guys just how far you can go in natural bodybuilding, and instead of just getting there and then reflecting on my journey, this is actually me showing you firsthand what's happening live. So I figured this would be a pretty cool way to go about it. And I did want to give a big thanks to Barbell Apparel for sponsoring the channel. Everything that I'm wearing in each video is from Barbell Apparel. Their shirts hug the sleeves so nicely. They make this 18-inch arm journey look like I'm already there. Just so you guys know, their sale is ending today. It is the final day today, Saturday. All jeans and pants are $50 off. And if that's not good enough, their entire site is up to 50% off. They sell out every single year, so if there's anything you're looking for, now is the time. Overall, I just want this series to be a bit of an eye-opener for what arm training actually is. It's always getting mocked as accessory work, and you see powerlifters, power builders, the vast majority of even people that train purely for hypertrophy. A lot of people just don't take this stuff seriously, so I want to show you the nuances and the attention to detail that actually makes a big difference in your training. And of course, this first episode is more spent on some of the general things like my statistics and what I plan for this series to be, but I do want to dive into a couple things as far as the actual lifting goes. So the first thing I'd say is my intent with every lift is to train each set as hard as I possibly can. I take an adequate amount of rest time. I usually rest at least 3 minutes between each set. That might be overkill for most people, but for myself and how seriously I'm taking this goal, I have the time to do it in these sessions. They're programmed so I am able to take as much time as I need. This allows me to put the most possible force I can into every single set, every single rep within each set too. I have maximum force production. I'm mentally and physically prepared for each set. Probably overkill, but if it gets me 5% more stimulus, I will absolutely take it. That is how serious I am about this goal. Preacher curls, I usually rest a little bit closer to 5, maybe even 6 minutes between sets. They're incredibly fatiguing on the biceps, and I am getting pretty strong on those. So my goal across each lift is to train it as hard as I possibly can. If the lift is strict, I will have a little bit more of a progression-oriented mindset where I can't cheat my technique. So something like a preacher curl with how strict it is, what I'll do is say, all right, I'll look at my training log from last week and look for taking any plus ones where I can. This isn't guaranteed to happen every time, especially since I am relatively strong already, but if I can add roughly a rep to one of my days each week, or maybe every 2 weeks, I'll take it. That has been a good sign that I have been growing in recent weeks. So with that being said, that's all I got for today. I'll see you guys next week for episode number 2. It should be coming out Saturday again, potentially Friday, depends on my schedule for that week. So I'll be going a little bit more in depth on the sessions and the actual sets and the training versus a kind of a general overview. So if there's anything else you guys want to see or hear about, or any questions that you might want to have answered for episode 2, let me know in the comments of this video, and I will see you guys next episode.